Greetings and Assalamualaikum. I'm Arina Liyana Binti Abdul Ashraff and I'm a librarian of SMK Bukit Baru. Since I am one of the dedicated members of Nilam, I'm assigned to divide books equally for each class. So everyone in this school can have joy in reading books, which is quite sadly rare nowadays, considering the fact that most people nowadays would rather read on their tablets or Kindle. It's not a bad thing, definitely, but I would love it if more people could just sit together at one spot and speak about their favorite books. That aside, I have actually written a few books myself, and it's really one of the best experience for me knowing the fact that one of my books were actually published by Nilam. But that's not the main point for today. I have one book on my head that really caught my eye. Should I tell you more about it? I'll tell you more about it. Alright, it's about Memoirs of an Unorthodox Civil Servant. And before we talked about how history is very boring, which I agree to some extent, but it's very important to build our nationalism and patriotism in ourselves. This book is about MCF Shepherd. I'll tell you more about it.
MCF Shepherd, a graduate from Cambridge University, arrived in Kuala Lumpur in January 1928 as a cadet in the Malayan Civil Service in the time of Sir Clifford. His memoirs open with a vivid description of the life of a pre-war colonial official, specifically World War II. But although the first 4 chapters of the book are mainly devoted to a lively account of pre-war district administration, much of the remainder could qualify for a film scenario. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because we are gonna get a bit controversial on this one specific book. We see the unorthodox civil servant in operation in chapter 5. He writes of the disastrous Malayan campaign and surrender in Singapore of 3.5 years in forced Japanese hospitality, including torture by the Kamputai. The rounding up of some of these Kamputai in the Riau Islands immediately after his release, and the chance recovery in those islands. After a short recuperative leave in England, his first post-war job was the creation of a new information department, then back in a civil service post as a district officer in Kuala. His taste for the unorthodox broke a long-established ring in a local pork market. He successfully transformed factory girls from communist supporters into domestic science enthusiasts, found the first young farmer club in Malaya, and when his new rubber smoke house was burned down by ill wishers, he had raised the money to cover the loss by writing and staging a musical comedy, which is very, very impressive to me. At the height of the Malayan emergency, he had inherited an Irish castle. Wait, my correction. Had as in supposed to, but he rejected the opportunity to retire and lead a humble life of a country squire, and instead devised the only tolerable form of food control, which is central rice kitchens. He established them throughout the peninsula. He had also employed a pawang to summon a Malay terrorist leader from the jungle. As a sideline, after independence, he had remained in Malaya. He had founded the National Archives and created a new National Museum. I'm saying that Tan Sri Datuk Mubin Shepherd is an absolute role model as he is today, a recognized authority on Malay culture and decorative arts. He revived the ancient dance drama of Kelantan and the court orchestras and dances of Terengganu. After his retirement, he helped to found and develop BUKIT, which is the Muslim Welfare Organization of Malaysia. And his main goal is to revitalize Malaysian Ex-Services Association. These memoirs provide a unique, fast-moving record of a diversity of interests and activities, enlivened by a refreshing descriptive preference for the unorthodox, which nearly 50 years in a tropical climate did little to assuage. One thing I really like about this book is about how it is also very informative in terms of history. Usually, most history books would just cover about one subplot, one part of history that is bound to be forgotten if not written or acted as stage play. But surprisingly, this memoir is able to prevent that. All of these books by Taman Budiman allows me to understand more about history in a more immersive way. The usage of I in this work allows me to feel more immersed and therefore feel more care towards the characters. I mean, not characters, but actual people. Do you see where I'm getting here? These are actual people fighting for our freedom and liberty. Clearly, reading this book allows me to be more patriotic, and it increases my love for my country. In my opinion, more schools and libraries should have books like these. Not because it only talks about history, but because of how wonderfully written it is. This book allows me to think of multiple ways to approach the situation, because the book allows me to understand how MCF Shepherd thinks and how he approaches these situations in these books. Not to say the least, I must say, Memoirs of an Unorthodox Civil Servant is one of the best historical books I've ever laid my eyes upon. All in short, I am very happy I could review about this book. I'm pretty enthusiastic about it, and I hope I have given all of you, fellow adjudicators, friends, and many more to come who sees this video, an enlightenment about this memoir. Hopefully, I get to read more from Taman Budiman, because apparently they write some pretty good historical books in my opinion. Now, that aside, I am Arina Liyana Binti Abdul Ashraff from SMK Bukit Baru, Daerah Air Keruh, Melaka, will now be taking my leave. Thank you for listening.